that argument. Okay? So for the first step, I think it's really important to understand the question, write your argument, write your thesis. Now for the structure. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'll leave my thesis there. So I already have, I know what I'm going to argue. I should underline the title. Oops. Underline titles. Okay. I maybe have the author. I can elaborate now. I know what I'm going to say. This is the basics of what I'm going to try and argue. I can elaborate upon that when I write my essay now. Okay? So, the way an essay is structured, write down the structure. Essay structure is I have an introduction, I have a main body, and I have a conclusion. Okay? The introduction is just the one paragraph. And this is just the one paragraph as well. And the main body is made up of as many paragraphs as you can in the time limit or the word count. Okay, so if you have to write, if it's a take-home essay, you have to write 1,000 words. So you have to you have to have so many main body paragraphs. Now, English teachers have all kinds of acronyms of how this paragraph ought to be structured. Okay, I've heard peel, heard pea, heard tepa, heard sexy. I just go with seal. That's just mine. Okay? That's an acronym of how I would like you to structure the main body paragraphs. Okay? Not the introduction, it's a little bit different, and the conclusion a little bit different. Okay? So let's talk about the introduction, and we'll do an example. So the introduction, I like this a format where I have what's called a general statement. A general statement that's related to the question. So you can't just say, like, the sky is blue. It's not a good way of starting an essay about bravery, or about courage, or persistence. Then I have my thesis, which you've already written. I already know my thesis. And then what I like to do here is to maybe an overview of your examples. A summary or overview. Not a specific example. Like you don't say, the Hobbit began his journey when Gandalf asked him to join the dwarves on their epic journey. That's a specific example. An overview is sort of like, this can be seen by a close examination of the character's actions and interactions. That's it. Okay, so nice and simple. I know what I'm going to argue. I'm going to set up my argument, and I'm going to say how I'm going to prove it. That's the introduction. Okay? You should probably, do you want to do an example of that, or do you want to launch into the seal? Any choices? I think we'll go with an example. It's nice to always have an example. This is what I'm saying, now the example. Okay? So let's construct our paragraph together right here. So I'm talking about the novel. So I might say, or I talk about Tolkien. I can talk about bravery. I can say, let's go with my theme, bravery. So let's talk about characters in stories. Often have heroic traits. Characters in stories often have heroic traits. Kind of starting off with a general statement. Okay? I'm going to launch into probably my character of Bilbo Baggins, who proves himself to be brave, courageous, and persistent. So, but remember the thesis? What was the thesis? Colleen, what's the thesis?
Main themes.
The main themes
In
The Hobbit
bravery.
are bravery and persistence. What does persistence mean? Is that a new one for you? Keep going. Okay, you don't stop and fight despite problems, because you overcome these problems. So it means you keep going. It's a good way of saying it. Okay? So buzzwords often have their traits. They'll talk about Bilbo Baggins. In Tolkien's The Hobbit. And if I knew the year it was published, I could say that there too. Bilbo Baggins in Tolkien's The Hobbit is one of these characters proving himself to be, what are my two words? Brave and persistent. I kind of worded it a little bit differently, but that's based on my thesis that I really wasn't going to argue. Okay? So Bilbo is brave and persistent. And as such, maybe is heroic. Okay? That's my thesis. Now, how am I going to prove it? What will I talk about? Any ideas? Plot. Talk about focus on the plot. Is it plot or character construction? Maybe I'll mention both. So I'll say this can be seen. I'm running out of board space. I'll move it over here. This can be seen. So I'm going to move it to by an examination. Oops. Plot, and we'll say character interaction. General statement, thesis, overview of examples. Does it look okay?
Missing that bit.
Missing that bit? Okay. Cool. Introduction. Easy. Am I answering the question? Absolutely. Am I on track for an A? Yes. Is there, crazy wording I don't understand? Maybe persistence, but, if you didn't have that word, that's okay. Just gonna, and this is what we would have studied in class, and so this basically, it's what we say in class, we don't want to surprise you. This is probably an easier question than you're going to get in your 9 or 10, but certainly in your 8, it's very similar to our question, wasn't it? And so, we just want you having the basic building blocks of the essay. Come on in. So that's it for today. Nice, easy lesson. Next week. Hello, goodbye. Next week, next Tuesday, same deal. We'll continue on this, where we'll talk about the seal, and then obviously end it with the conclusion. And I wanted to devote time to the conclusion because you must have a conclusion in your essay. You can't just stop here. And the conclusion is where we don't say anything new. We sort of summarize. So the conclusion is pretty much the introduction. I don't have my that in reverse. So I would summarize my examples, restate my thesis, and end it with some sort of, what I call it deep and meaningful. Like, isn't it great that we have these wonderful novels, that explore these aspects of the human condition, something like that. Okay? Well, thanks, gang, and we'll see you next Tuesday. And give me some feedback what you want, what you don't want. Okay? I'm going to do this short, so nice and easy. And we'll say no homework for this one, and we'll talk about the main body next time. We'll give you some examples of how to write the paragraph. Thank you very much. Thanks, Very welcome, again. You're very welcome.
I'm not sure how to stop it.
Hit the red button again.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look at it. Cool. No worries, Colby. Now to figure out how to put this onto YouTube. Although I'm not sure if I want to watch that, quite frankly. That was kind of...